Ready? Today we are doing workbook pages 57 and 58, which would make homework 59 and 60. This is module 4, lesson 2. And it's all about adding and then subtracting polynomials. So we'll start with, I'll explain the math at the top and then you'll try the bottom by yourself. So when we add the polynomials, this one, y cubed minus 1 plus 7y plus 3y squared, and y squared minus 3y minus 2y cubed plus 11, this is how we can do it. I do want to note that it says the word add, and then it has the word and, so I'm going to change that to a plus sign. Now that is not always true. Sometimes it'll ask you to find the product of something, and then you'll need to make that the and word a multiplication. But in ours today, it's adding or subtracting. So the first thing they do is they find, or rather they put this into standard form. Standard form means that we go from greatest exponent to least exponent. So we've got the y to the third would go out front because the third is our largest exponent, our highest exponent. Our next highest exponent is the squared. So they put that next. Then they've got just y, which of course is an invisible 1 as our exponent. And then we have our constant, which is -1. I do want to mention that you could pretend -1 had a variable with an exponent of 0, because x to the 0 power would be 1. 1 times 1 is 1, so it would stay the same. Now, the thing that I love about doing it vertically is that they have kept everything lined up. Like all of our y cubes to third power are to the left there. I'm sorry that it keeps readjusting. And then all of our y squareds are in that section. And then all of our y's to the power of 1 are in that section. And then all of our constants are on the end. Making sure that you're keeping your signs with their number or term, right? I find this step to be optional. To me, it seems logical that we have 1 minus 2y cubed and then 1 minus 2. They are different signs, so we would subtract and get -1y cubed. Then we have 3 plus 1. 3 plus 1 is 4y squared. Then we have 7y minus 3y, so that would be 4y. And then we have -1 plus 11. Those are different signs. So we subtract and get 10, and we choose the positive because 11 is bigger than 1. This is my favorite way to do it. I find it especially helpful when you have more than 3 terms. I also find it helpful when sometimes you'll have like a 3y squared in one of them, but you won't have a y squared in the other one. And this very visually lines those up for me and shows me what I have and what I don't have. The other way to do it is horizontally. And so on this one, they find the like terms. So they found the y cubed and the -2y cubed and put those together so that then they can get them in standard form by putting the highest exponent first, and then they group them together, which I love. Again, I do find this step optional. I feel like it's quite logical here. If you like this step, absolutely do it. But I don't find it necessary and I won't require it of you. If you're not working in colors, then you would change the shape of your line, right? So now I'm seeing squareds. So I'm going to make sure I keep that plus sign. Look for a squared over here. There's a squared. And then they put those together. 3y squared plus y squared. There you go. Then they went for just the y's. So we've got plus 7y, but then minus 3y, put those together. And then our last one is going to be that constant, right? So we've got -1 with a plus 11, and that comes here. And that's where we got, let's see here, y cubed minus 2y cubed would be -1y cubed. Y squared, 3y squared plus y squared is going to be 4y squared. 7y minus 3y is 4y. And then -1 plus 11 is plus 10. Check it out. Doesn't matter how you do it, you get the same answer. All right. And so now they're going to ask you to try it without me. You're going to start by putting this into that top row, and then you're going to put this second part into the bottom row. And then this again is optional. You can do it if you want. I will do it. So if you want to check your answer with me, you can. This is a good time to pause. Okay, here we're back. So using that first part of our addition problem, right? Because it has the word add, we're going to go, what's our highest? The cubed, 3w cubed plus 1w squared plus 1w plus 5. So that is each of these parts coming down. A lot of coefficients of 1 there. Then in the second part, let's see, I have 6w cubed plus 1w squared minus 14w plus 7. If you fit that all into the box, that's even better. I just worry that I would write too small and we'd lose that negative sign. So then this step is just pointing out the coefficients that we're adding. So we're going to get 3 plus 6 equals 9w cubed. 1 plus 1 equals 2w squared. 1 minus 14, different signs. So I'm going to subtract. I'll get 13. And I'll choose the negative sign because 14 is bigger than 1. And then 5 plus 7 is 12. And then just making sure you remember all of these plus signs in between. Then when we do it again, they just want us to write the equations over again, or the parts over again. And they do not put it into standard form first. I would, if I'm rewriting it, I'm going to put it in standard form. But I will do it the way the book wants. So we get w squared plus 5 plus w plus 3w cubed. And then in the next little section, we get w squared minus 14w plus 6w cubed plus 7. And then we're going to go back and forth and connect those. So I see I have a cubed and a cubed. So that's going to be 3w cubed plus 6w cubed. I don't have enough of those pens, and I don't know if my other pens will write small enough to fit in the boxes. We'll give it a try. There's a w squared and a w squared. So we go w squared plus w squared. And we've got just a regular w and a regular w. So we go w minus 14w. And then at the end, we have a 5 and a 7. So we go 5 plus 7. Now again, I would just come down to this third row by using here, but they want the steps. So we'll do 3 plus 6 is 9. 1 plus 1 is 2w squared. 1 minus 14, so 1 minus 14 is going to be negative 13w. And then 5 plus 7 is still 12. And then check it out. Doesn't matter how you do it, you get the same answer. All right. Pause if you need to. Now, looking at the back, we're talking about subtraction. So subtraction is exactly the same, except for one change. And that is that we have to subtract each term inside. And so how I do that is I go ahead and change this to a positive, and then I change the sign of everything inside. So y squared did not have a sign, so now I'm making it a negative. Minus 3y now becomes plus 3y. Now be careful. If you're only writing in pencil, you might not notice that you changed anything. So that's why I really encourage you to use a red pen or a green pen, some other color, so you can see what changes you're making from your original pencil marks. And then negative 2y cubed becomes plus 2y cubed. And then we have plus 11, which needs to become negative 11. And you might be tempted to just turn that plus sign into a minus sign, don't do it. If you erase and make it a minus, we never erase enough, so it's gonna get confusing. Just leave it a plus and make it a minus 11, okay? Then we're going to write, and I'm gonna show you again that they are putting these into standard form. So our y cubed comes out front, beautiful. But then our y squared comes out next. Now I'm not gonna do that to every term because I don't want it to get too chaotic, but I do want you to see that they are moving them around, right? They're putting them into standard form. Standard form again is where we put greatest exponents first and then go greatest to least in order until we get to the least which would be our constant, because it's like having an exponent of 0 on your variable. They did the same thing with our negatives. They went down and put our new with our new sign, right, into the bottom row. And now you can see that it's gorgeous. They have all of our cubes lined up, all of our squares lined up, all of our y's lined up, and all of our constants lined up. And so as you do problems by yourself, it's super important that you make these columns and keep things lined up. I actually encourage you to do it on graph paper so that you already have sections, right? Again, I think this step is optional, but that is up to you. Because here we have 1y plus 2y is 3y, right? Well, 1y cubed plus 2y cubed is 3y cubed. Then we have 3y squared minus y squared. Well, 3 minus 1 is 2, so we have 2y squared. 7y plus 3y is 10y. Minus 1 minus 11, a negative plus a negative, right? Same signs, add them together, get a 12, keep the negative sign. Then they give you this lovely problem, but no room to work it. So we are going to put that in our module 4 notes. So module 4 notes should have looked like this if you were here on the 24th. Then earlier in my lesson today, I added this part, which maybe I'll come back to in a second. And then I'm going to do the workbook page 58 right here at the bottom. So you do it wherever it works for you, but I'm definitely putting it in a notebook. Okay, so mine should start about here after I do that upper part of my notes. I'm going to label it Module 4, Lesson 2, Workbook. This is page 58. We are practicing subtraction. In case you're interested, today for me is October 28, 2025. All right. Our original problem that they gave us off that workbook page is 9b cubed plus b to the 4th plus 1 minus b minus quantity 4b squared plus 13b to the 4th minus 6b. All right. So the first thing is I'm going to put this first part into standard form across the top so that I can subtract it later. So what would I put first out of that? Which of those terms has the highest exponent? Yeah, the b to the 4th. So I'm going to start with my b to the 4th. And I'm going to remember that all of my b to the 4ths go there. What would come next? Yes, plus, make sure you're writing your pluses and minuses. That is a really common mistake. So plus 9b to the 3rd. And that's going to be where all of my cubes go. What do I have next? And by the way, some people like to cross these off as they go so that they can see what they're finished with. If you do that, I just really encourage you to do it lightly in case you need to start over or see the problem again. All right. Then the next one is going to be minus b. But why don't I have a b squared? When I look over here, I have a v squared in the problem that's going to go underneath it. So I am going to leave space for my v squared. And I'm going to continue my problem with minus v. And that's where all of my v's will go. And then I still have plus 1. Now, we really need to remember that we have to change the signs, that we have to distribute that negative sign. So let's write that here. Distribute the minus sign to all terms in the parentheses. Oop, I apologize. Let me move that over. Thank you for telling me. You're so good. All right. So now let's do that bottom one. So I'm starting with my b to the fourth. So I have 13 of them plus 13 b to the fourth, right? Then 9, I have b to the third. But over here, I don't have any b cubed. I have that b to the fourth, but I've done it already. So nothing goes there. Oh, I already forgot, right? We wrote it down, but then we didn't do it. So we need to change all of the terms. So I'm going to make it an adding problem. This is going to become negative 4b squared. This is going to be negative 13b to the fourth. So I need to make sure I change it down below, right? Negative 13. And this is going to be a plus 6b. So make sure you change signs of everything inside. So that's going to make this a minus 4b squared. So then that one's done. And then we have plus 6b. And then do I have a constant on this one? I do not. From there, I just combine like terms. And look at how beautiful it is with them all lined up. All right. So we have 1b to the fourth minus 13b to the fourth. We have different signs. So we're going to subtract. That gets me 12. And it'll keep the negative sign or choose the negative sign. B to the fourth plus 9b cubed because I wasn't able to combine it with anything. So it just stays a 9b cubed. Then we have negative 4b squared. Same concept. I don't have anything to combine it with, so it just comes down. Then we have minus 1b, right? If you see the invisible one there, plus 6b, different sign. So I subtract and get 5, and I keep the positive sign. So plus 5b plus 1. And that's it. You're done. I feel like I should do the notes that go above this for my people who missed today. So if you're just here for the workbook pages, then you can be done. But if you want the notes from earlier today, then this would be a good place to stay. So this is Module 4, Lesson 2, Vocabulary Notes. Again, my date was 10/28/25. We're going to make a chart. So you might want to watch me make my chart and then pause, make sure your chart looks like mine, or fast forward to my chart. Oh, I could just pause and then bring the chart back. Let's do that. Okay, so we've written polynomial, standard form, number of terms, degree, leading coefficient, and then the k or the constant. So pause, take a minute to copy it. You'll need 3 lines below. Okay, so our first example is 3 minus 8x. Is this in standard form? It is not, because the x has an exponent of 1, and so that's the largest exponent, so it needs to go out in front. So we make it negative 8x plus 3. The number of terms is how many terms we have, how many monomials we have, and so we have 2. Then it says, like, what's the degree? We determine the degree by the one largest exponent. And so in this example, our degree is 1. And then the leading coefficient is this number out in front when you're in standard form. So it has to be in standard form. before the variable. So here our leading coefficient is -8. Then your constant is going to be the number at the end that does not have any variables that you can see. And so our constant there will be 3. All right, let's make it a little more complicated. So what if we had 4x cubed minus 10 minus 2x to the 5th plus 3x squared. So now we need it in standard form. So which has the largest variable? Yeah, the largest variable right there is the 5th. Now we got to make sure we bring everything with it. So that's going to become -2x to the 5th. And if it's helpful, you can likely cross it off. What's the next highest variable? Yeah, the power of 3. So we're going to go plus 4x to the 3rd. I know you're like, Miss Heathcote, where'd you get that plus? There's not a plus out in front, right? But we know that 4x cubed is positive in this situation, so we would be adding it. All right, and then I can cross that one out because I know I'm done. Then my next one will be plus 3x squared minus 10. All right, how many terms do we have in this one? Yeah, we have 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I actually encourage you to check it in both your standard form and in the original polynomial in case you forgot to move anything over, right? But we have 1, 2, 3, 4 here as well. Then the degree. Now you have to be in standard form to find the degree, or I guess it's just easiest if you're in standard form. What is our highest exponent? So we are to the 5th degree. What is our leading coefficient? Again, you're looking at this first term. Going to be a -2, beautiful. And then what's our constant? It's our last number without any variables, -10, beautiful. Are you good, or would you like one more? Okay, we'll do one more just in case. So let's do this one as 3x to the 6th plus 2x to the 7th plus 11 minus x to the 9th plus 4x squared. I'm so sorry that that went over the little line. I hope you can see it okay. I would suggest that you pause here and then see what answers you can come up with on your own. Okay, hopefully you're back. Here we go. So this is going to be our largest here is a -x to the 9th. And you're like, whoa, 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 Miss Heathcote, we've got a 4x squared. 4 is bigger than -1 and a 2 and a 3. But it's not the coefficient, it's not that number by the x that counts. It's the exponent to the x that judges or determines what we'll start with in our standard form. So to the 9th power is larger than the 7th power, the 6th power, the 2nd power. So that's why -x to the 9th goes first. And then again, you can cross it out if that's helpful. And then to the 7th will go next. So I go plus 2x to the 7th, cross that out, plus 3x to the 6th goes next, beautiful, plus 4x squared, plus 11. Whew. Sorry that got so tiny. I'm not liking that. I'm worried if I change it, it'll make it worse. That is a plus 11. Okay. All right. How many terms do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. 5 terms. Nice job. What is my degree? I only have to look here for my degree, and it is to the 9th power. My leading coefficient, again, I only have to look here, and it is a -1. Remember, we have that invisible 1 beside the x. And then my constant is that plus 11. That was kind of hard to see, so sorry about that. All right. Then we just gave some very simplified definitions of monomial and polynomial. So monomials have one term. An example would be 4x squared, right? But then a polynomial, and there are other rules like the exponents can't be negative, they can't be a fraction, right? But so far so good. Polynomials have more than one term. And an example would be 4x squared plus x minus 3, right? Because it's got 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful, beautiful. And again, you can't have negative exponents, can't have fractional exponents at this point. Then I just want to do a little bit more vocabulary work. So let's talk about this term 4x squared, right? So this whole thing is called a term, can also be called a monomial, right? But then we've got parts. So like this part is an exponent. And then this x is called a variable. And then this 4 is called a coefficient. And now you're all caught up on the notes that you missed today. Hope you have a good one. Bye.